All right. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. Benjamin, and I'm the presidential candidate of the fictional Common Sense People's Party. Now, as the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal is set to resume on Monday, we are still on the final written address by all the parties involved. And in the written address of TINUBU's legal team, they expressed shock at the number of votes that His Excellency Peter Obi got in his strongholds. But before I break that down, let me quickly show you how INEC failed to defend themselves in their address of the allegation of non-compliance as regards transmission of results from polling units to the IREV. Now, the failure to transfer the presidential election results from the polling units to the IREV was one of the major issues raised by His Excellency Peter Obi and his legal team in his petition. And if you recall, 2 weeks ago, INEC tried to defend this in their defense and they failed woefully. So we said, well, let's see what they have to do in their final address. Now, the final address don't come again, and it is still another woeful failure because there is no way they can defend this. They are now trying to rely on technicalities instead of facing the main issue. They were busy trying to define the difference between transmission and transfer. Transmission and transfer. Now, when we talk about transferring results, electronic transmission, people always get it misunderstood, and it is important that every member of the public understands this thing so that the judiciary will know, that the people know what to expect. There is a difference between the INEC National Election Register, that is the INEC database, and the IREV. The INEC National Election Register or database is the INEC platform where they keep all election results. In the next 5, 10, 20 years, you fit go there, make you check the results of the elections where they don't do before. But the IREV, now the result viewing portal where they design for this 2023 election, where they go send results to for everybody to be able to view for the sake of credibility. So transferring result to the database and transferring result to IREV, now two different things. Now that IREV own, now they compulsory for this election. Listen to what the electoral law says. Equally, there is no part of the Electoral Act and INEC regulations and guidelines that require that election result of a polling unit should on the spot during the poll be transmitted to the INEC National Election Register or database. Rather, the regulations provide for the beavers to be used to scan the completed results in Form EC8A and transmit or upload the scanned copy of the polling unit result to the collation system and the INEC result viewing portal, the IREV. You see the difference now? You are not to transfer from the polling unit to the database, but it is compulsory that you upload from the polling unit to the IREV. There is a difference between the database and the IREV. So when people say that electronic transmission is not compulsory, what they are saying is the INEC National Election Register or database. It is not compulsory to transmit from the polling unit to that one direct. But the IREV, the result viewing portal, is different from the database. It is compulsory to transfer to that one immediately from the polling unit. If you don't do it, then your results are illegal. And that is what His Excellency Peter Obi looked at, and he said INEC did not comply with the electoral law, and INEC has not been able to defend itself. In the defense, they failed. Now, in their final written address, they have also failed woefully to address that issue. Now, here is another interesting part of these written addresses, and it is coming from the legal team of TINUBU. The legal team of TINUBU expressed shock at the number of votes that His Excellency Peter Obi got in his strongholds. Look at how they put it. The respondents shall also contend that of all the presidential candidates at the election, it was only Obi, who now cries wolf, that scored incredible percentages of votes in his catchment areas, particularly the southeastern states of Nigeria, where he scored 95.24% of the votes cast in Anambra State, 93.91% in Enugu State, 77.13% in Imo State, 79.83% in Ebonyi State, and 88.40% in Abia State. Against these whooping scores credited to Obi in the Southeast zone, Tinubu scored only 2.41% in these states. We argue that such a discrepancy in the vote percentages indicates that Labour Party and Obi's claims are unfounded and lack credibility. Wetin dem dey try talk here be say the gap that Obi gave Tinubu in the Southeast is not realistic, that the gap is too much. I don't think that these APC people realize how Nigerians feel about them. They are shocked that Obi got over 90% of the votes in the states in the Southeast. I am even surprised that Obi didn't get 99.9 or even 100% of the votes in those states, because I didn't expect anyone there to be foolish enough to vote APC after 8 years of Buhari. And it wasn't only in the Southeast that Obi shocked them. He shocked them in the biggest Southwest states, Lagos. Even after they took several hundreds of thousands of votes from his votes, he still ended up winning the state. The greatest shock to them was in the northern states, because before the election, fools like El Rufai claimed that Obi will not even win a local government in the Southeast, let alone get 100 votes in the northern states of Nigeria. But Obi shocked him by getting several hundred thousands of votes in Kaduna State that they had to start rigging the elections against him to make their own scores look decent. Ren Omokri kept saying Obi will not get up to 10,000 votes in any northwest or northeast states. But at the end of the day, in Adamawa State, where his boss Atiku comes from, Obi scored over 105,000 votes. In fact, they had to reduce his vote. If not, he will shock them for Adamawa State. And remember, in Borno, Maiduguri, after the votes in some polling units were counted, APC hoodlums, they set the Maiduguri main market on fire as a sign of demonstration that Obi got too many votes. It was everywhere in the news now. At the end of the day, INEC had to step in to scatter all the votes to help them save face. And these ones are here in their final address writing rubbish, trying to allude to rigging. But I don't blame them. Now, because all their lives, when they do politics, they have never earned one lawful vote. Every vote when they get now to rig. They believe say everything now to do wuru to rig. So when they see a man getting lawful votes, the thing they shock them. Anyway, make I leave them here. There are several other aspects of that final address from INEC, APC, TINUBU, and Labour Party that I will be dissecting in subsequent videos. There is INEC, APC, and TINUBU's lawyers' pathetic response to the certified true copies of Form EC8s tendered by the Labour Party. We never discussed that one. We are also going to talk about the attitude displayed in their final address as regards the allegations of certificate forgery and narcotics trafficking made against Tinubu. But I can tell you for free that aside their defense for the double nomination case of Shettima, none of the other defenses made sense to me. It was a shallow piece of documents, and that is why we are saying all eyes on the judiciary. Because the way I see this thing, if the judiciary does what is right, if they translate the constitution the right way without fear and favor, and then follow the electoral laws to the letter, this can only go one way. And we dey expect say then go do am for the sake of those of us wey dey this country now, and for the sake of the children yet unborn. But until then, make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news wey una go like. Why? Because of una. Now I dey here. So, don't go away.